Happy Tuesday, everyone.
What's going on, Shake? How you doing?
We're doing all right. We just walked in. We're just setting up to make some dinner over here too.
That's all right. It's all good. It's all good. Hey, everyone, I want to welcome you to Poetic Conversations. Today it's me, yours truly, Charlie Perry, along with Zig Peters, and we also got Waleem, the man behind the scene and the Groovaladas, the funky professor. He is definitely going to do his thing. We're all going to do our thing. You know, we have to make some adjustments with all the things that are going on. But we're here. We wanted to make sure that we have these poetic conversations with you. And so here we are.
Yep.
All right, fellas. I'm glad to have both of you here. It's always good to have both of you here. I'm very, very let me see, how can I say it? Well, I'm not the biggest fan of you, but I'm trying to be the biggest fan of the Groovalados and everything that you're doing, because
Yeah.
the first time I heard y'all, I was like, damn, that's it. I love them. I love them. So I'm
Well, we
just trying to,
appreciate the love, man.
yeah, yeah, definitely, got that style I like, and just trying to do my thing also here on the Really Charlie podcast, and try to bring out you know, some interesting content, and give people their flowers while they're standing, and you guys definitely need your flowers, and I'm gonna give it to you every chance I get.
You super real for that, man.
Thank you. Right back at you. You ain't nothing but real to me, and I appreciate it. Um,
Yeah.
all right. So what
If
we gonna do?
Waleem's joining right now, actually, he's trying to get it up on his computer.
Yeah, well, he could take his time. We're here. We got listeners. We got people listening, and that's a good thing, Um, yeah, sorry about the problems at the studio, but you know what? I will always, always, always produce something. If I say I'm gonna have it, I'm gonna have it, and if it's on my lap and then on my shoulders, I'm gonna make it happen. So that's what I try to do today, is to make this show happen today.
Super real, super real.
So what's new on your plate, man? Look at you, man. That's it. You create smiles. There's some people that what they just go about life, but y'all that person that creates smiles. I have the saying, your smile is contagious. So you keep doing what you're doing. Don't change your personality whatsoever, man. You're definitely gonna go a long way.
Yeah,
Um,
appreciate you, man.
yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, man.
So what's new
Yes,
with you, man? What's new with your
a
channel?
lot,
Tell
quite a
tell us.
lot. I'm dropping. It was supposed to drop on this Friday, but it's actually next Friday. I'm dropping a new song.
Oh, nice.
Finally, it's
Yeah.
called Projectile.
Mm-hmm.
Is That's the name of it. Yeah, that one's a lot of fun. It's got some, nice steel drum dancehall type vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm. Bring the
Yeah. New
bring the.
semester. I'm starting my second to last semester of my bachelor's program next
Mm,
Monday. Not
nice.
next Monday, next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next
That's
Monday is just when I'm traveling up into Vermont.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that paper, man. Get that. That there's one thing that I when I got my degree, um, the keynote speaker said, "There's one
Yeah.
thing that no one can do. No one can ever take your degree away from you." And it's so true. No matter what happens, you start a job, you leave a job, you quit a job, whatever may happen, you get fired from a job, but you will always,
The
always have your degree. Always.
credentials.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Credentials.
Yeah, you get that right.
Yeah.
So,
Like
what inspired this new song of yours?
the new song, well, I mean, a lot of my stuff has been around the topic of like anti-racism
Mm-hmm.
and empowering my people is
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
is
Yep.
I'm choosing my words very carefully, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
like
I got you.
I'm like I'm empowering my people. This one's about taking your power back because actually this song is a part of a larger project that I I'm starting to drop singles from. It's called Build Destroy is the name of the record. And the
Mm.
reason why is because each track is placed on the project because in some way or another the subject matter ties to one of the principles in the supreme mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
So like, track one is track one because you dropping, we're dropping knowledge.
Yes.
Track two
Yes.
is track two because we're building upon our knowledge to attain
Mm-hmm.
wisdom, etc., etc., etc. This is track five that I'm
Mm.
dropping as the next single, Power.
Very, very nice. Let me grab something. Hold on. Keep talking if you have to.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes. We're slowly we will see an entire. It's the whole thing is 8 songs,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like we've basically gotten the first 8 numbers of the supreme mathematics, and that's why we call it Build Destroys because, or why I'm calling it Build Destroys because 8 songs and Build Destroys 8 in the supreme
Wow.
mathematics because it's like it's the two circles that feed into each other. It's the negative being destroyed to then build the positive,
Very nice.
but it's all the repurposing of matter. And then interestingly enough, across like different like forms of numerology, we see 8 is also recognized as, they call it, the great karmic equalizer, and that's the same kind of thing because of the shape,
Yes. Mm-hmm. It
because of
it
the two
makes sense.
circles.
It makes sense. I got this right. I did this a
What you
couple of
got?
years ago. That's a hoodie that I
Ah,
made, and Eden
that's
Stores
fire.
created, and yeah. So
That's fire.
yeah,
I'm now eligible to vote in my first primary election, and I hate both of the candidates. It's beautiful.
whoa. Guess what? There's one thing about there's one thing about voting, right? Um,
Yeah,
there's in each ballot, there's always something else you can vote for.
that's the true thing. Yeah, I mean, and with me, I'm like, I mean, we've heard this already, but it's like the president doesn't matter really. It's more like, your local and state folk.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? That was why, because the first election period that I voted in was 2022. This past gubernatorial election when Healy and Driscoll were running.
Okay.
It's
All right.
funny, yeah.
Yeah, she's not my most favorite person. Only because just here in our area, she kind of left some people alone on Nantucket Island. They were fighting over something racist, right? Just you just bring it up, and it was something that some racist graffiti written on the African meeting house, right? And
Hmm.
they, as time evolved, within a short period of time, someone admitted to the crime, right? So the town officials knew, the police knew, um, the victims knew, um, the African meeting house, even the how do I want to say this? Well, it's based out of Boston, and then there's affiliate down here in Nantucket, which is the oldest African meeting house, the oldest in the whole country on Nantucket Island.
Yeah.
So, um, you know, the governor, when she was attorney general, she pretty much
Hmm.
ignored it. Pass the buck. Everyone passes the buck, and I just don't think that that was something cool on her part, because
Nah.
what she could have did is she could have helped out. And you know what? When she was running, she talked about diversity and racial issues and equality, all that stuff. But
This
just down the road in Nantucket Island, they had an investigation that's been going on for 5 years now, and no one's been criminally charged. Someone has been indicted, but there's still
right.
no criminal charges. And that was all. That was all when she was in charge. So I could care less. Although
That's funny because that wasn't even on my radar.
I'll tell you what, it's there. I did a podcast on it. I'm gonna do something else these folks, right?
Yeah.
Two is a older older black gentleman and another woman, black woman.
Hmm.
They've been fighting. They've been trying to, do the best they can, and it's getting appealed in the federal courts in Boston, right? And
Yeah.
that's and so they have to. When you're a victim, you always got to fight a little harder. They always want to make you when you're fighting big power or big brother. They always have the opportunity. They always have time. To just deal with it. While as a victim, you get stressed out because of the anxiety and worrying about your case and all the stress that it puts on you. Meanwhile,
Yes.
the agencies and the town officials, they just sit back on the on the wheels of justice and let things get appealed and appealed and appealed. Meanwhile, in this case, it's 5 years. It's going on 5 years. So, anyways, some people, it's funny how throughout the country and throughout the world, we talked about uh, mascots, right?
Yeah.
Mascots like Redskins, like Indians, and everything. And people
Yeah.
believe
And they
that
still got the Kansas City team too.
yeah. And it's funny how people other than that race or that culture always say it's no big deal. It's no big deal. I said, yeah, it is. It's a big deal. What's the big deal? And they say, Charlie, what's the big deal? It's an Indian or it's a Redskin. It's a chief. And I tell them, look, I'll tell you, I'll prove to you that it's a big deal, right? It's a big deal because if I give you a T-shirt to give to your mom or your dad or your wife or your husband, and on the front of the T-shirt it says "Home of the Niggers," would your mom or your wife read it? Would they read it? I mean, would they wear it? They wouldn't. They wouldn't wear it whatsoever.
Oh, yo, yeah. Pops just reminded me. Actually, I
What's
can't
up,
even
man?
find that shirt anymore. We got a bunch of shirts that said the Caucasians on them. This
Uh
was a
huh.
few years ago.
Yep.
A few years ago, we had it was in the same kind of style as the yeah Cleveland Indians.
Hmm.
Did they
Yeah.
change their name or are they still being
Yes.
racist?
Yeah.
They
They're
did.
the oh wow, I
Were they the
forget.
Guardians, right?
Yeah, Guardians. Which is
Yeah,
good.
because yeah, one of them changed to the Guardians, the other one changed to the Commanders. Was
Commanders.
Washington?
Yeah.
They're the
And
Commanders now.
and for selfish reasons, people fight that. And what's the sense of fighting that? If there's
Man, it's tradition, man.
yeah, if
It's
people yeah, it's and that's crazy, right?
All right, let me jump in on that one. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
please. Thank
So,
you. Welcome,
what?
Waleem.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes.
What we have to bear in mind
Hmm.
with this country in particular, this is the first country to have a legal definition of white
Yep.
as part of its laws. Now, why do they do that? Because white is a privilege. White carries privilege. And so, therefore, when you're always in the privileged state and you're always the one who can dehumanize everybody, and that now has become several hundred years of your culture, where everybody but you is the joke.
Hmm.
When the people are like, nah, that's not funny, what happens is this now starts to make you feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
It's like, for example, you have people running around the United States now running, yelling, what they talk about, the great replacement theory. And oh, they're going to replace us, they're going to replace us, and the worry about diminishing white populations.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, the rest of the world is looking at this and is like, yeah, so we need to start really doing things very differently. I mean, why do you think England has been busy untangling themselves from all the places they colonized?
Hmm.
Why do you think Germany has the type of education, anti-racism education in place that they do, and that they teach about the Holocaust, because it's like, yeah, we don't want this to happen again, so we need to teach about it.
On the
Yeah.
flip side, in the UK, you got a bunch of culture war BS going on over there, so that's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like beans on toast flavored America. I don't like it.
Well, the one thing is that the UK has always been fighting amongst each other. It's
Yeah.
probably the most. It's probably oldest conflict within one country that's, other than some other ones, but they've been going on for a while, and it goes from.
Well, that's because they're
Uh,
not really one country.
yes, exactly.
Isn't it like 4 or 5?
No,
Yeah, because
just
Wales is really not
yeah,
part. England is a little piece, but then it's like England colonized Scotland, England colonized Wales. So it's Britain, it's the British Isle.
mm-hmm.
And the thing is, what they did was they colonized everybody. And so so why they've always been at odds is because they've been at odds with Ireland. Why? Because they colonized Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll always be at odds with them. They'll always be, this will always be the situation. This will be the situation for them. But we have to also remember that England and Germany are the birthplaces of the whole construct of white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
Germany, again, is recognizing, yeah, we kind of missed the mark with that one.
Wasn't Blumenbach from Germany?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And, but they're like, we missed the mark with this one. Yeah, that's not quite how it's supposed to go. And you have, you have the other countries, and now you have Britain, which is sort of like backing away from, like I said, all the places they colonized. It's sort of like, yeah, we kind of need to pull out of that. We kind of need to let that go. We kind of need, but the United States, in that regard, what we have to remember is, so they create this concept of whiteness. And then you end up with people where this is the one country where that can be a privilege. If you can be designated white, everything's beautiful. So they come to this country and they try, if not to be white, they try as hard as possible to be like white people.
Mm.
Let's look at some of our own folks. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Let's even think. Let's think about the mindset of even some of our elders. Our elders, it was to be as European appearing as possible. To be, that was the idea. It was, even down to, promoting the whole notion of marry into the families, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is where a lot of people are coming from. But it's like, so now what we're looking at is, as the values are changing, as the tones are changing, the people who were made comfortable, what was it they called on Family Guy? Folksy racism. The folksy racism is now no longer a comfortable thing. The folksy racism is now no longer tolerated. And this is part of it, not good, but this is the way that they play it.
Yeah, we have and it's weird how Germany's doing what they're doing to restore their infamous history, right? And then we're kind of doing the reversal in Florida, with the banning of books, the banning of any kind of real history,
Well, it's because we're repeating Germany 1930s and 40s.
True.
Let's not forget those dudes. Let's not forget those dudes marching with the tiki torches.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget those guys in the masks marching through downtown Boston and through Jamaica Plain last summer. Yes. And let's not forget the mindset and the attitude and the growing, you will not replace us chanting that goes on from the various, the fact that we now have more white supremacist groups who think that the Klan is outdated and benign. More of them have come out of the woodwork in the last 12 years than existed in the 30 years before them. People were either Nazis or were Klansmen or whatever, but now you've got actual full-blown white supremacist organizations.
So true. So true.
Yeah, Proud Boys is just scratching the surface is the thing.
Why do you think abortion is such a big deal for them? Because they're worried.
Yep.
They are completely worried. You know, the whole chant, you will not replace us. Well, you know, they're worried about that.
Yeah, and then the and the numbers of um, the numbers in the families across the board is so it's getting so much lower, right? People are not building
Yeah,
families to be at the level of maybe six or seven. It's getting
Yeah,
to the point where it's just one child, and
yeah.
in that pot
yeah.
I don't know if it,
Like literally, I only have one sibling.
yeah, Waleem, I don't know if it was you, but we talked about how China is changing its philosophy, where the female was something that you didn't want to produce, right?
Hmm.
And the male had a dominant role in China. So now they're rethinking that only because of they can't reproduce if they're kind of pushing their women to the side or not having them or
Yeah, they used to kill off the female
yeah,
baby. Yeah.
yeah. So and now they're rethinking it, especially when they're trying to be a world power, which they are. But now they're really thinking that guess what? Can't have a child if we don't have a woman around.
Well, this is it.
That's fact.
So let's talk about this music theory, right? What
Yes.
let's talk about it. Since you're the professor and and my favorite teacher, let's
Uh,
talk about it. Teach me something.
all right. Well, let me start with how I started doing this, or
Mm-hmm.
why I started doing this. So I was a music theory major in college,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually initially, when I was exposed to theories, when I started studying music, when I was like about in fifth grade, went to a music school where everybody had to learn sight singing and music theory, and I'm like, why do I have to learn this? And then I go to music and art high school, where again you have to learn sight singing and music theory, and I'm like, why do I have to learn this?
Mm-hmm.
And I had one wonderful teacher. Well, I had several wonderful teachers there, but one in particular, the late Edith Del Val, was one of my theory teachers, and she said, "You want to write songs, right? Yes. You want to write music, right? Yeah. Well, if you don't know how to write, how you gonna write them?" And that
Mm-hmm.
made sense. And I came
Sure.
Weird.
to realize, because then I went on became a music composition major, and I came to realize it was not the theory that was bothering me. In fact, it goes, I'm sorry, it's almost like the theme of the night. It was not the theory that was bothering me, it was the cultural supremacy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our concept of music and music theory and what proper music is supposed to sound like is based on what was happening in Europe between the 1600s and the 1900s. And that's what's considered, and that, and the basis of music theory as we study it is what is even more constricted than that. It's really just basically the 1700s
Wow.
is what we're learning. And so it's sort of like this is what you're taught. And then of course what happened was, when jazz came along, jazz changed the game, because you had, if you think about it this way, you learn Western music theory, and Western music theory is about the size of a lemon.
Hmm.
And then you encounter jazz, and the theory that goes behind jazz is the size of a watermelon. So
Makes
you
sense.
learn, that this theory that they were force feeding you, that is the proper theory. And of course, what you end up as when you're then still studying the classics, and they found out that you now have a jazz thing going, what they constantly, it's now becomes sort of like this gaslighting. So that if you're a jazz player studying the classics, it's sort of like they act like you're handicapped, or you're a problem child or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And what I found was, okay, one of the people I studied piano with after my grandfather passed was a pianist by the name of Barry Harris, jazz pianist. And he passed away a couple of years ago from COVID, but there was a video that he did on YouTube where he was talking to this pianist, this classical pianist, and she played this very complex Chopin piece.
Mm-hmm.
And when she was done, he said, "Oh, that was excellent. What are the chord changes?" And she looked at it. And he said, "Well, the chord." He said, "You were riffing. What are the chord changes that you were playing over?" And she
Mm-hmm.
couldn't tell him. And he said, "And you see, this is the problem. what we we teach musicians that they're doing an excellent job because they're acting like trained monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
You were taught to play it this way, these notes in that precision, but you weren't taught to understand it.
Makes sense.
When
Makes
you're
sense.
when you're a jazz musician, every time a jazz musician performs, they're being a musician, an arranger, and a composer all at the same time.
Mm.
Because this is one of the beautiful things about jazz training, because this will happen with the groovalatos. One of us will start to lay down a groove, and the other listens and starts to lay down a groove that fits over it, and the other one listens and fits a groove over it. And that's how it works, because what we're all doing is we're all thinking like arrangers and composers at the same time, or at least like arrangers if we already know what the structure of what we're playing is going to be.
Mm. I like that because you become a team.
Yeah.
No leaders, no everyone kind of, all right, let's do this. Zig got this, Waleem has that, Ray may have something. It just works out. To me, it works out better like that, right?
Oh yeah. And this was the magic behind, at least the early years, we watched that movie Standing in the Shadows of Motown. That was what was really behind the greatness behind their house band.
Mm.
These were all jazz players. So you gave
Yeah.
them a chord progression, and they were able to take that chord progression and then say, "Oh, wow. So remember that thing that Afro-Cuban thing you were doing last night? Play that riff again." "Oh, okay. Hey, this song makes me think of the bass player's like, hey, this song makes me think of a woman with a huge behind walking down the street. So when I
Mm-hmm.
play that bass line, it's going to be that behind. Ba-boom, 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 ba-boom." But the thing is, it was that level of invention and creativity going into it.
Mm-hmm.
But, the interesting thing has always been the struggle between, you say concert to us, and we think of 2,000 stone people in a auditorium chanting at a stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
concert, you think, when you say concert to a certain group, everybody is seated and polite and well dressed, and is experiencing the music, but experiencing the music without actually experiencing the
I
music,
read you.
experiencing it with
Yeah.
their ears. It's funny. A friend of mine said the difference between being an audience member of classical music and an audience member of a really good contemporary or jazz concert is the difference between watching porn and going to an orgy.
Man. So would the same thing apply when talking about like going to an Afro beats show, for example?
Yeah, I saw your video footage, and I saw the video footage of a few folks from that show. Y'all went to an orgy.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't go. I'm watching people moving to the show, moving to the beats. I'm just watching the whole thing, and it's like, yeah, everybody there was with Burna Boy.
Look, for
It
real,
wasn't
only times I was really sitting down were like initially when like Spaceship Billy was first doing his thing, and even then, like he then started playing some bangers, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Hmm.
But this is but these are the things to consider, that we consider. Now, all of this to say that, so when we think about music, when I started doing music theory like this, it was because I started playing more and more with musicians who had not been formally trained,
Mm-hmm.
but were remarkably musical and understood music. They might not have been able to read a note, but they understood music better than most people that I'd ever met.
Now,
And
did you take that as something that delayed you on what you were trying to create, or like, let's just say the music part? Now you're trying to teach someone and get them on a good level. That where things can be productive, right?
right.
And while you were teaching it, was it a hassle? or was it something that you liked?
It was kind of on the job training. It was
Okay,
kind
all
of
right,
cool
yep.
because it became basically a process of, now this is how you communicate the music to somebody. And and I'll be honest, the stuff that they made me study in the BU music program,
Mm-hmm.
I probably use about 5% of it.
Wow.
Really. I mean, if we talk about the general concept of music theory, okay, maybe I use about 15% of it. But most of the stuff they made me study, most of the things about, oh, this is the proper chord progression. This is the chord progression from the
Yo,
1700s.
Mm-hmm.
Bach violated this chord progression and ended up in prison for 30 years. I mean, you learn all kinds of. I mean, and by the way, that's a true story. That's not an exaggeration.
oh
Dude did
yeah,
end up in prison
Mr.
for
T
30 years.
told us about that when we were in class.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So Bach
And,
really
and
did
me,
end up. But of course, the cool part was, while he was in prison, that's when he wrote a number of his etudes. He was just sitting there in the cell, like cranking out. Okay, well, here's an organ exercise, and you
Hmm.
know what? This is a good one for cello, and the one for cello can violate. So I mean, so he kept on with his process. But and the thing was, becoming a jazz player again. One of the wonderful things that opened up for me was being introduced to the notion of a lead sheet,
Yep.
which is okay. So now you know music theory. So you don't have to tell me the notes. Just tell me the chord is a G7 and I can play a G7. Tell me the chord's a C major 7 and I can play a C major 7. Tell me it's an augmented, tell me it's an A flat minor augmented fifth and I can play that, but it's sort of like this now becomes easier than trying to figure out the notes on, okay, bass clef, treble clef, this, you know,
Yeah.
um,
Very.
but with it sometime, but so let me start with the first thing we want to think about when we think about music theory are numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one reason I also point to this is when my grandfather was teaching me to play piano and was also teaching me composition initially, he explained the relationship between intervals and algebra,
Mm.
displacement theory.
Wow. Now, was that because you understood that better than the theory of music? Was
Actually,
it
no, I was on the brink of failing algebra and he used music to teach me algebra.
okay? All right. Okay. Just want to hear the backstory. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay. But so numbers that we want to first, so, if anybody listening to this wants to learn some music theory, I'll give you a second, grab a pencil and a piece of paper.
Mm.
But first numbers you want to consider: four, actually, I'm sorry, one, four, five, 8, and 12.
1, 4, 5, 8, and 12.
Mhm.
All right.
Those are the numbers. Now you set those aside.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one, because everything begins on one. And because of the nature of pitch versus tone, everything returns to one.
Mm.
When you go up a scale, when you go up an octave, which is the 8,
Yep.
the note that you end on at the top of the octave is the same pitch as the note at the bottom. It's a different tone, but it's the same pitch. But they're 8 notes apart.
Mm.
Now, if you go up, that's a major or minor scale would be an octave. A 12-note scale is called a chromatic scale. And that's when you're hitting all the notes between that, we'll say C to C.
Mm-hmm.
All the notes between that middle C and that high C, or that C above middle C, all of those are the 12 notes. Those are the 12 notes of the chromatic. Now, the chromatic concept that we now follow was introduced by Pythagoras. It's part of Pythagorean theorem.
Okay.
um, and because once upon a time, the actual concept were 17 notes. But what we did,
7.
17, but what we ended up doing was introducing enharmonics because the tonal difference or the pitch difference between a couple of the notes were so close to each other that we just introduced. So that's why you have, for example, you have C to D, right? That's a whole step. The
Mm-hmm.
note in between could either be called C sharp or D flat. Once upon a time, C sharp and D flat were considered separate pitches, but now they're the same. So that's just a little bit of backstory, but we'll go back to the 12 tones of the chromatic scale. So if you get familiar with the 12 tones of the chromatic scale, find your way up the 12 tones, is basically you're hitting every single note in between the middle C and the C above middle C. So what we have are...
I have a piano right in front of me. Hold up, there we go.
Oh, there we go. So what we have first are what they call majors. And how majors are determined are where their relationship to the first note in the scale. So Zig, show them a C. Show them the middle C.
Middle C. Oh,
well, actually, where your finger was, that's middle C, basically. For
right there.
So that is middle C.
Yeah.
Now go up to the D.
There we go.
That is a major second, because in a major scale, that's going to be that's in a major scale, that's going to be the difference. Now go up to the E. That's a major third, because now, again, this is the C major scale. Go up to the F.
That's a 4 major.
That's a perfect fourth. Now, the reason why it's called a perfect fourth is because there is no tonal minor for a fourth. It's either diminished or augmented, but it's never major or minor, because it's always so therefore those are called perfects. Those are always going to be fixed notes in the scale, whether you're dealing with a major or minor. So you have a perfect fourth. When you go from the C to the G, that's a perfect fifth.
I like it.
Then when you go to the C to the A, that's a major sixth, because there is such a thing as a minor sixth. When you go from the C to the B, that's, interestingly enough, that's a seventh. That's a major seventh. And then now we're back at the C. When you get to the top of the scale, you're at the C. So you're, so now you've gone. But now go back, show them the C to C again, Zig. Showing you the C to C. If you look, there are 12 notes between the thumb and the last finger. That's the chromatic scale.
Wow. So when you talked about 17, how's that work out? Right?
Can I explain that?
Sure.
Okay, so basically, what we see here are the black keys. Let me actually just straight up flip my camera around, possibly. Does this work? The black keys are the flat and or sharp notes that Waleem was talking about before. So this note right here in between C and D, is what he was talking about, is either C sharp or D flat. This was originally 2 separate notes.
Okay.
Over here we have between D and E. You see it still? Yeah. Okay. Between D and E, you have either D sharp or E flat. So now, here we have E and F. So there, at one point, were 2 different notes in between E and F. There was an E sharp and an F flat. But now, because of enharmonics, like we were saying earlier, in some compositions, this note, which is known as E, is enharmonically written as F flat, and vice versa, with the F being written as E sharp enharmonically.
Well, let's not get too deep into that, because we would need to explain minors and diminished and augmented first before we get too deep into the enharmonic. But what you were saying, quite right. At once upon a time, they were 2 different notes, but now but tonally, as they developed the chromatic scale, they found that tonally they could be the same note.
He was asking where the 17 came from. So
okay, the black notes.
Yeah, because I'm pointing out, what I'm doing right now is pointing out all the notes that got either omitted or combined.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And so now, because we're between F and G now, with F sharp and or G flat to G sharp and or A flat. Yeah, they only go to the 7th letter of the alphabet when using letters here. And now we come to A sharp and or B flat And between C and B, it's a similar kind of relationship between E and F over here, where it's the half step, but there were the two tones in the middle that ended up being removed.
Mhm.
We're back at C now.
Yep.
So that's why the number ended up being shaved down from 17 to 12.
Okay. Makes sense.
Thank you,
The-
Pythagoras. But by
yeah.
the way, most people don't realize, yes, Pythagoras was a North African in Greece, not a Greek.
Mm.
North African, was he like Libya, Egypt was his thing?
Hard to say because those places didn't exist under those names at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would be the region.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I forget the region. I had it on the tip of my tongue. Oh my God. Well, that means I got to pay attention a little bit more and I'll get back to some reading. I know which region you're talking about because my dad always talked about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's this is cool, man. I like this. I because I'm getting educated, right? I'm getting definitely educated. And that's what I want to put on everything that I do in the podcast.
All
And
right.
Mike Samayo says hello. He's on YouTube. Mike, how you doing? I appreciate you. That's my man. He's always supporting me.
Okay, yeah. I
Happy
saw him pop up.
Tuesday.
Yeah, definitely a good dude. Can't wait for his book to come out. As I always say every week, he's working on it. He's working hard on it. So
Nice.
yeah. Let's talk about well, Waleem, are you done? Are you going to something else? I just want
Oh,
to.
well, one other piece I was going to give is, so I talk about the circle of fifths.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with the note C. Now, C, when you look at a C major, or when you look at a C major scale, it has no sharps and no flats.
Yeah.
But if you count up 5 notes
Hold up.
from C, you're at G. So if you're in the key of G, G has 1 sharp, F sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing to understand that will also help people understand what with a major scale. Let me back up a little bit. You have things called whole steps and half steps. If you go with a chromatic scale, it's all in half steps. If you go with a major scale, it's always going to be a whole step. So that's the distance, say, between C and D. So the distance, so C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step, E to F is a half step, F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, A to B is a whole step, then B to C is a half step. So a major scale is always going to have 2 half steps in it, no matter where you move it. And the half step is always going to be between the 7th note and the 8th note, or one of the half steps, I should say. They're always going to be between the 3rd and 4th note and the 7th and 8th note. So that, let's go back. C has no sharps and flats, but you go up to G. G has 1 sharp. So now if you step down a half step from G, you're at F sharp. You see how that works?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, if we go up 5 notes from G, we're going to be at D. D has 2 sharps. Now, guess what one of the sharps are?
It would be C.
There you go, C sharp.
All right.
And then now the other so the other sharp is going to possibly be in between the 2nd and the 3rd note because it has to be a whole step, right?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore it's going to be what?
The whole step would go back to sharp.
We bring it up to, so D to E, 1
Yep.
to 2 is a whole step, and then E has to be a whole step. It can't be a whole step to F, so it would have to go to
G.
nope.
No.
F sharp.
Oh, all right. All right. I'm trying, brother. I'm
That
trying.
becomes no. You're getting it. You're getting it. You're getting it. So now you
Yeah,
go up
yeah.
from you go up 5 from D and you're at A.
Mm-hmm.
A has 3 sharps. So every time you go up 5, you're adding another sharp.
Wow.
To the scale.
Um, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to get to school, man. I like this.
Uh,
I do.
the
I do.
circle of fifths, though, that was my biggest cheat sheet when learning music theory. As soon
Oh
as I
yeah.
learned that, it
Now
was
the
because also um one of my classmates, this girl named Daisy, one time for the class drew out the circle of fifths, and with it also put the yeah. She showed us such a way that if we count the circle of fifths in a specific way, you
mhm.
actually then see the order of because there's an order that flats and sharps always come in when they
Yeah,
show up in
I'm
keys.
I'm about to. I was about to say that the
Mhm.
circle
Yeah.
of fifths show you all of the sharps. If you go by the circle of fourths, that's how you get the flats.
Wow.
Because C, remember, has no sharps or flats, right?
Mhm.
If you go up 4 notes from C, where are you?
You would
That's F.
be G.
Nope. That's 5 notes.
We're doing fourths now, brother.
Yeah, fourths, yeah. So circle of fifths, you said, right?
Nope, this is the circle of fourths now.
Fourths. So
So if you're on C and you go up 4 notes, where are you?
hmm, I don't know. Tell
You're
me.
at F.
F.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just think alphabet.
Okay.
It's just that the musical alphabet begins at C and not A.
Okay.
But so you go up from C, you go up 4 from C, you're at F. F has 1 flat. And that's the note between the third and the fourth. The A goes to a B flat.
Wow.
That's the
Yeah.
half step there. So
Yeah.
it has one. Now if you go up 4 notes from F, you're at B flat. B flat has 2 flats to it. It has a B flat and it has an E flat.
Still under circle of fourths, right?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Hmm.
So every time we go up 4, we're going to add another flat.
All right.
So you
Yeah.
go up 5, you add sharps. You go up 4, you add flats. And what becomes really funny is you get to some points where you have a choice between, okay, am I playing the song in F sharp or am I playing the song in G flat?
Hmm.
Because they're the same scale. Or am I playing, you get to points like that in the enharmonics. Now, for
Correct.
some reason, I've always been more comfortable reading flats than sharps. Some people are more comfortable reading sharps than flats.
Hmm. And is that something as to
That's funny. Yeah,
say
most of the stuff I
you got to
learned.
make a decision on whatever you're trying to produce or create, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to decide how you're going to do it, right? Collectively.
Well, what I often have to take into consideration is what key does the singer sing in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or what key does the singer sound best in?
All right. Now that's something that's interesting. I listening different podcasts and people talk about. Well, I want to create the music before I create the lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's what I do sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, and so it kind of makes sense what you're talking about. A little bit. About not the chemistry, but the way it's all formatted. It makes so much sense, and
Yeah.
I I'm learning. I actually have a keyboard in my storage, but I could never I'll tell you a quick story. I went to get some lessons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have, as you know, my hands are small. I had frostbite when I was young, so I always had this fear and phobia of, especially when I went to class, and I felt that the instructor was paying attention more to my fingers and
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. And then it put me on guard, and I said, I don't know if I want to do this anymore after 3 or 4 weeks, and I stopped. But I always wanted to do something like that because of writing poetry, and I wanted to recite poetry along with playing a piano,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that I always wanted to do. But I could never get away from this trauma in my head about my hands.
I
So
got you.
yeah.
Well, I mean, the best thing to do. Here, I'll throw the screen on a sec. I'm
Hmm.
sorry, I'm making dinner while I'm talking to you. So
I hear you. Yep.
when you go to your keyboard,
Yep.
your fingers, start with on the right hand.
Yep.
The easy thing to do: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do that as an exercise. Next day, take the left hand, and this hand you're going to start on the pinky.
Yep.
Let me see if I can get my hand to actually show up. There we go. So on the pinky, you're going to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then you're going to take both hands 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the pinky on this hand is going to become now synced with the thumb on this hand. Da 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 da.
Mm.
That's the beginning of the piano player coordination.
Wow.
You know that thing where they talk about, can you pat your head and rub your stomach at the same time
Hmm.
and then
That's
switch
only part of it.
and then switch? That's
Hmm.
part of that. Believe it or not, is actually a piano player exercise.
Wow.
Yeah. The patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time is part of what they give us drummers.
Yeah,
It's you have to pat your head, rub your stomach, walk backwards, and chew gum.
Mm.
that sounds more like an Eddie Ray Johnson drum lesson than a standard drummer lesson. But yeah.
He
So
was my
saying,
first drum teacher, don't you know?
I know this, but you're there like you're there making it sound like they're gonna go to Berkeley and learn this, and nah, it's like
in fact, that's a question.
What Eddie Ray says is law. Anyway,
When when is um when is Louis Chops Turner's event? That's coming up, right?
oh, well, he's gonna be one of the acts. This is becoming a bit of a festival that we have coming up on May 4th.
Hmm.
It's called the
we call it dimensions or something like that.
thank you. It's called Dimensions, and we're beginning to put together quite a bill for this. We're gonna have a band called Conspiracy of Noise. We're gonna have the Groovalados, and with the Groovalados, we're gonna have some of the solo sub acts that come out of the Groovalados. So you're gonna have ZYG 808. You're going to have Waleem the Funky Professor. We have wonderful singer songwriter Ruben Walton, who does stuff like in cross genres, but he's going to be on the bill as well.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Ruben.
Yes.
That's it.
And Chops Turner is going to be one of our closing acts.
Hmm.
So yeah, and so that's going to be on May the 4th.
Okay. Now that I mean, I knew about that, but he has something at Berkeley.
Oh, I forgot about that one. I don't know the
That's,
details on that.
I have to check my email because I know I paid for tickets and I don't want to mess up the date.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So and you talked about myself and doing some poetry.
Yes.
When's that gonna happen?
That event, we're doing one on May 16th.
Yep.
And the of course, I would love to hear you come do it when we do the jam session in onset,
Sure.
because there, since that's more of a band event than a DJ event,
Mm-hmm.
we have a little bit more of a spontaneous control in backing you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So I.
You know, you get to a point we can drop out, or it's like, okay, just the bass player, okay, just the drummer, okay, just
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I would say maybe that might even be the one. We have one. We just did one this past weekend. The next one is going to be on April the 13th
April 13th. All
at
right.
Bebo's and Onset.
Okay.
May 16th, right at Gallery X, we're going to be doing a Thump and Soul session, and I'm going to be making my debut as a DJ
Mm-hmm.
that night.
Yes,
Well, I'll put it
sir.
that way.
DJ
I,
Mualim on the table.
Actually, I can't say my debut as a DJ. My debut as a DJ not using vinyl.
Oh, nice.
The
All
last
right.
time I the last time I DJ'd a party, I had about 20 crates behind me,
Mm-hmm.
and because it was even, real quick story, we did a Black History Month event and we used Zig's DJ equipment. And one point he was performing and I'm at the equipment, and I'm there old school lining the beats up because I knew that the record was coming to an end, so I had to go into the next record. So I'm there like using the control, speeding it up, slowing it down.
Wait, I have the thing in front of me. There's a different controller, but it's the same kind of thing, basically.
Uh-huh.
I'm there lining up like it's a record, and when I'm done and I'm telling them what I did and I'm proud of myself, he said, "Oh, all you had to do was hit the sync button."
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm
Yeah. All
so
right.
so
Each channel has one in the corner.
I'm from, you can explain to him, Charlie. I'm from the days when we used a crayon to find the beat. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's crazy because my controller I end up giving to my nephew. I had one. I actually wanted one that was a little bit bigger, but he wanted to get involved, and that was something he was thinking about doing. So, you know what? I give my nephew what I got and let him work his magic.
well, there you go. All right.
And so, but I didn't. I found out today that the British actor Idris, he's a DJ. He was a DJ, and he what he does is he ends up playing music as to get away from all the acting that he's doing, and so every now and then he would, you know, break out the DJ controller, and
I hope, I hope he's a better DJ than he was weed dealer. Hey, I'm
well,
sorry.
he but you know what, he talked about the crates too. When he
Yeah.
came over from the UK, he'd bring 6 or 7 crates, and
Yeah.
he'd bring them over, and that's something he ended up falling back on, when he wasn't working for 2 years.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just listened to that this morning. So, but yeah, I remember Ronnie Magnet, who we both know, and he had this big old van, and he had his
Oh, yeah.
crates loaded up. He had his crates loaded up in that van, going all over the place from here to Cape Cod, and
Oh, yeah.
you know,
I remember,
but
I remember
crazy.
Ronnie in his crates. I remember my cousin Robert Peters. He was DJing all up and down. I remember helping him with all of his crates and his equipment. And
Mhm.
now it's a folding table and an iPad.
Mhm. It's
and
real.
and if you're not going someplace with a sound system, some speakers. But
It's real simple.
oh,
Yeah,
You,
it's a table and 3 bags.
you
Because
can
I have a flight case with all my wires in it. I have the console itself, and then everything else it just fits into my backpack.
see you can get to all your gigs on a moped or a
well,
scooter or a bike.
well, I'll
Have no
tell you.
problem.
I'll tell you another little piece of music history.
Yep.
The reason why Curtis Blow was able to blow up, this is not to take away from the man's talent, but the reason why Curtis Blow was able to blow up was because his DJ was able to carry his turntables and the records in a garment bag, so they could get on an airplane real easy. He could stick his turntables up on the overhead compartment, and they could be
Mm,
anywhere in the country in hours. So that the simple mobility of his act
I like
to
that.
get from jump on a plane, be in Chicago, jump on a plane, be in Atlanta, jump on a plane, be in Louisiana, jump on a plane, be in California, do a show, jump on the next plane, be somewhere else. So that was really what got him over.
I love
He
it.
was able to go all over the country, and trying to remember, I think the first big record he came out with was The Breaks.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember walking around with my eight. I needed my eight batteries in my JVC. So
Oh yeah.
you know, but Curtis Blow was definitely one of the first that I enjoyed listening to. Me we got a few minutes. I just probably like 3 4 minutes. So I want to make sure that you guys broadcast and put whatever you need to on this podcast because I'm going to add it to Spotify this
Oh, thank you.
evening. So I want to make sure that we are giving out a lot of information about you and what y'all are doing. So,
Well,
um,
one of the big things we want to let people know about, and I'll actually slap it in your chat. We have the Wamptronica project
mm-hmm,
that we've been working on. That's the house music and so forth program. So what we are, and by the way, we have for you, we have some goodies for you. We have T-shirts and bags and stuff that we were going to bring
mm-hmm.
down
My
tonight.
favorite type stuff,
Oh, there you go. There you go. So
Mm-hmm.
we've got a Groovalato T-shirt for you, and we have a Wamptronica bag for you, and we have a Thumpin' Soul bag for you.
I'm ready. I'm
And
ready.
and folks out there who might want a Thumpin' Soul bag and a Wamptronica bag, and didn't make it to the last Thumpin' Soul session and don't make it to this next one, well, you can buy one, but if you make it to the Thumpin' Soul session, you get one for free. So but only at the next one is the last time we're going to be doing that.
Mm.
But Wamptronica, we have a couple of records out now. We have Paradise Over Peace. You can find it on all platforms. House music is the style,
Mm-hmm.
Afro house, jazzy house. We have another cut called Just Is that just came out the end of last week. That's more on the garage house style. And then we have a record that's some straight up club jack stuff called Handsome. That's a fun record.
Mm.
And, yeah,
Handsome,
Handsome.
handsome. Yep.
Handsome's a cool record.
Talking about both of y'all, right?
Oh well, I hopefully not. Handsome.
We're not gonna even give anything away. You can just
All
listen to
right.
the record. I mean, it's like if there's any, it's like we posted the cover art already, right?
Yeah,
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 just
dude,
look at the cover art.
and
All
that'll tell
right.
you.
I
Dude
Just
will.
sitting there,
look at the cover
dude
art,
sitting there with a
and
paper bag on his head. So yeah.
Yeah,
go check at Wamptronica on all social media. That's WAMPTRONICA. Wamptronica.
all
Oh,
right.
and shout out to the people who lost their minds today when like Meta went down, and they couldn't get on Facebook and Instagram. People were losing their minds.
Yeah, they were. I'd seen that. I didn't get to see it until 12 noon, but as when you get my age, you take naps whenever you can.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
woke up and I seen all the news flashes. I'm like, well, it didn't affect me. I was sleeping, but that this is the second time that this country has gone through some kind of crisis or trauma. First, it was with Verizon. Now it's the Meta, and I'm like, y'all better wake up and stop being so attached to those items, or to electronics. Because if we ever have electronic war, you know, our country's going to be handicapped. At least some people are.
Well, the real problem is it's not even just social media. If that happens, we've lost electricity, we've
Mm-hmm.
lost water. Any of those wonderful systems that we use, that like where people use electronic systems to lock their houses,
Mm-hmm.
you're not
Yep.
going to be able to unlock your house.
Yep. Exactly.
Little things like that. So it's like beyond just, oh my god, I can't post picture of my lunch on Instagram. It's
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
how am I gonna get out of my house or get
mhm,
into my house or protect my house?
true, true,
yes.
true. I
Because
mean,
the one night I left it unlocked, the
so
power grid's down.
give me. That's why give me gas and oil, and that's what I'll take. You know, when I need to get to work, I can get to work. Um, and but you know what? I love what we're doing here. I'm glad that every month that we are friends. I'm living and learning a whole lot of things from y'all, and you know, just this past
This is
couple
what
of
I need to
weeks.
say, family, man. Let's say that.
Yeah, that's it, man. I like that. Um, I mean, look, I created a song. I had a little twist to it, you know, and
That's fine.
thanks to the Funky Professor, you know, I and that's something I always wanted to do, and it came through from A to Z, you know, just by you guys inspiring me to do
Okay.
something like that, you know. So I just you know, but we'll talk about that, you know, because I want to keep on creating and do things outside my poetry and lyrics are poetry. So that's all I
Speaking
want to do. I
speaking of
just
which,
gotta.
there's a dude we definitely need to collaborate with, who's doing some really interesting things out in New Bedford. Hendrik Resto Hernandez. I've been,
Yes.
I've been peeping the brother's work for a minute, and finally was able to actually connect with him. And definitely brothers of the same, brothers of the same mind.
I
And
love him dearly. He is
oh yeah,
he's actually he's gonna try to create something with the tunes for the podcast, the intro and extra
okay,
ex- and so you know, so we I don't lose that brainstorm behind you know, Lionel Walker, and gonna kind of collaborate and see what we come up with,
yeah, yeah.
because I'm always getting this copyright issue, and I mean, why they keep doing this to me? It's muting my stuff, you know.
Well, I mean, if you want an intro and an outro, we can hook you up with one. In fact, let him hook you up with one. Let us hook you up with the other.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan, man.
Yeah,
And
but
I
but
understand
nonetheless,
you.
Uh,
definitely a good brother. I mean, but he's definitely a good brother. I mean, just
yeah.
He
what I've
is.
what I've seen of him, definitely want to shout him out because
Yeah, he's
his artistry is good, but his soul is the right thing.
yeah, he's got his his soul.
Hard to find
He's
folks
so
for both.
yeah, he's so compassionate about the city. His pride
Yeah.
is extraordinary. So hey, Gordon Woodbury's on a, giving us a thumbs up, and that's another dude. Very
You
very
like him?
yeah. Gordon is prideful. He's doing some great things. You know, trying to keep people tuned into some you know, their finances and everything. So Gordon's doing a couple of projects out in Alabama with houses and real estate, and I love him. You know, um, I even like him because he's a Dallas Cowboy fan. I still love him. You know, so all right. Please keep me informed. Keep in touch with me throughout the week. And so I can definitely uh be involved. I don't want to miss any dates that you expect me to be there. So keep, if you can, give me some reminders every now and then, and
Oh yeah.
that way I'm on task, and definitely do things the right way. Um, this will be on Spotify. We're already on YouTube. We're already on Facebook. So, but I'm gonna add this to Spotify as soon as we get up. I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna download it and then put it on the page.
All right.
That's fire.
All right, and
Wow.
Zig, I gotta listen to some of your stuff. The new stuff. Tell me a date. When is it coming out again?
So that's March 15th. That's
Oh,
the Friday coming after next.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Perfect.
That's funny because
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in Vermont when the song's dropping.
Nice.
I'm
Well,
gonna be in Vermont, and like the day after, I have a performance.
mm,
And
I like it.
I'm gonna be straight up with this. As for artists out there, independent artists who are looking for distribution, a company not to use is Ditto.
Do
I'm
not,
never use. Do not
do
use Ditto.
not.
I'm never using them again.
Good. Good.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why the song's dropping on the 15th instead of the 8th. Cause yeah, man.
No.
Ditto messed it up big time because I turned in that record the end of January. And the thing is, when you're setting up a record for distribution, you want to get it lined up for distribution so that it gets to Spotify and all of the people on time, not just for the time that it's going to drop, but then this also gives you a chance to then pre-pitch it to all of the playlist curators that, okay, we have this song
Mm-hmm.
coming out. You know, you might want to listen to it. You might want to add it to your collection. You might want to add it to this or that. And it takes a little bit of time for that to happen. And you want to do that so that then when the song comes out, it's already in place.
Mm-hmm.
But if they, you know, and the thing was, so it's like I dropped the thing January. It usually takes about a week for everything to line up. I just happened to look on Spotify and I'm like, wait a minute, his song's not set up for free pitching yet. So then I go back and look, and it's still sitting and waiting and pending. And I had to hit him up a few times. I'm like, look, what is the matter? What is the holdup?
Mm-hmm.
You've had this song for over a month now.
Wow.
So, but yeah, Ditto music, I do not recommend. Now, an option that I do recommend for people, digital distribution, there's an option called Sound On, which is actually owned by TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
What I like about them is they don't charge you to distribute. They don't charge you, an annual fee or a per song fee like a lot of the others, and you get to keep 100% of your royalties.
Nice. Real
There's
nice.
no cut. Now they have their drawbacks too, especially when they first started. But I can honestly say that they became the preferable option to Ditto on a number of fronts.
I like it. See that? You're educating myself and many others. So we got to keep passing that stuff on, man. Because if we don't do it, someone's going to go through some errors or some situations that they didn't need to. So
This is it, yeah.
um, all right. Hey, look, Zeke, you're my man. Look, you want to come on, you want to do anything with the podcast. I don't mind podcasting every single day. So if you want to do something, you let me know real quick and we'll set something up. I mean, I can do it every day if I want. Wileen, with just a text away, you need me, give me a holler.
Oh, same
Yeah,
thing, family.
yeah.
Yep. Back at
I'm
you.
also I'm gonna just make sure I'm gonna text you the new track just to make sure that you have it. 'Cause I'm not sure if we've sent it yet to you.
Okay.
But
All right. All
Yeah,
right.
we'll make sure you have Handsome. It's 8 minutes long, by the way.
I don't care. Hey, I that's it.
yeah,
I
we
do
gotta send
not.
him handsome. We gotta send him projectile. Do you have Awakened already?
No, I gotta send him
Um,
Awakened by Noonday Sun too. That's my solo joint that's coming out in about a week or so.
very
Yeah,
nice.
mixed and mastered by yours truly. By the way.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
it, man. Teach you gotta. Somebody got to take over when the young man down below is tired of doing it. Zay,
Yeah.
you gotta step up, man.
Oh yeah.
So, but you already have anyway. So that's a done deal already.
Oh yeah.
Um. All right.
I've
I'm
been
here for
literally
you.
just creating as we're talking right now. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It don't. I like that. I like that. And I definitely gotta do a few things, especially with some of the lyrics you're coming out with, and start putting some of the poetry on my page so that you guys have inspired me to do so.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Gotta
but
love reading your stuff when you post it, man. Look forward
all
to it.
right,
Look
yeah,
forward to it each day. Actually.
everything I write that you inspire, I'll tag your name on it so y'all will know
Oh,
that you
all
did
right.
it.
I'm
All
honored.
right,
Thank you, bro.
all right,
It's beautiful.
all right, man.
All right.
Well, all right, I'll
Oh,
see you. Well,
so
go ahead.
the other word this can maybe be our next conversation. So the album that I'm finishing is called Thunder Child.
Mm-hmm.
and it's sort of covering everything from blues to punk rock.
I like it.
In its content, it's all stuff. It's all basically guitar oriented sorts of jams, but guitar, vocal, storytelling types of pieces. But I'm actually this time going to come out with a limited number on CD as well as the digital release. So we'll see how that rolls.
Okay, good.
But
I'm
yeah.
gonna grab some items from both your pages so I can put in the description on Spotify so everyone knows more information about you.
Oh,
And
bet. Okay.
so, but I'll be doing that in the next few minutes. All
All
right.
right.
Love you guys, and please, everyone, check us out every first Tuesday of the month. It's me and my friends, doing our thing. They are not. I'm not hosting this. We are hosting this. This family right here is hosting this. So every first Tuesday, we are gonna bring whatever we have to Facebook, Spotify, YouTube,
Yes, sir.
and get it out. So this is our show, and we're gonna continue on with it.
All
Don't
right.
forget, and don't forget about W Radio. Check out their website, WNB1.com, and check out the music 24 hours, 7 days out of the week. Located at 262 Union Street, New Bedford, Mass. All right, y'all. Peace, and
Be blessed, man.
All right.
yeah, that's
Peace,
it.
family.
I love you guys. God
Love
bless.
you too,
Yeah,
bro.
we
Peace
love you
and
too,
blessings.
huh?
See you next month.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Peace. All right. Great, 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 great. Loving it. I love when I hang out with them too. They are definitely my kind of people. All right, y'all. I will see you next week, Tuesday. We have another artist coming on, and that's going to be Raleigh from New Bedford, my man. He's got a new project going on. He will be on next week. Same type of situation here on the podcast, where he's going to talk about his project and what he's doing. Can't wait to see my man do his thing. And on March 19th, we will also have Marilee Sweeney, my good friend from California. We're going to have her on air. So check me out every Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. here on the Really Charlie podcast. God bless. Take care and have a great, great evening.
It's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast. Grab a chair, fill your glass. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yo, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Yeah, it's the Really Charlie Podcast. Bumping through your broadcast. Grab a chair, fill your glass.